What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, there's been a whole bunch of Final Fantasy news. So I figured, right, we should get a video going and go through all of the announcements, reveals, etc. from the past few days, because frankly, quite a lot has been going on. My favourite announcement of which was the announcement of an upcoming 2-player starter set based around the Final Fantasy VII Remake, featuring Cloud and Sephiroth. Now, I was late to the Final Fantasy VII party. I actually was maybe the only person that bought and played it to completion for the first time on Nintendo Switch. I loved it. And you will notice that the artwork being used here is from the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, we don't have a huge amount of information on this at the moment. We've got this image, and we have a release date of the 28th of February 2020, on which day my little sister will be 19. So, maybe she wants this for her birthday. Maybe I buy it for her and she doesn't want it and I have to keep it myself. Options are open. Something for me to think about. Now, we don't have a great look at what this actually does, but some enterprising people have had a pretty gosh darn good go at figuring out what it actually does. Now, Nan Passenreeve has posted on the Facebook group, quoting Campus Lapin, and apparently this is what it does. Apparently, Cloud is an Earth Ford, and it reads, put a Final Fantasy VII Ford into the break zone, search for a Ford for a cost of 1 CP more than the one you put into the break zone, and play it onto the field, and this can only be used in your main phase. So like a lot of the Final Fantasy VII cards we've seen in the past, this works with other Final Fantasy VII cards, and you're essentially dumping one to search for one that's slightly more expensive. Could be fun, could be nice search. Sephiroth, apparently a lightning Ford, which is cool, because the Sephiroth we've had so far have been dark and ice, so, you know, nice to have a new one of those. It is 3 CP, and when it attacks, you dull all the Fords of a power of 8,000 or more, or less, can't quite tell, controlled by your opponent, and at the end of your turn, something happens. We don't have great images of these at the moment. We don't have a full confirmation. Obviously, when we do, I will share it with you. Now, over at the FanFest this weekend, this was actually confirmed. This slide was shown, which also confirms the release date, so I'm somewhat psyched about that. And we did have this shown. Now, it just shows the artwork and the types. Doesn't really show you anything else, unfortunately. We can see that there is a new Aerith coming who is light. I adore Aerith. This makes me very happy indeed. We can also see that we are going to get our debut in the card game of Kadaj. Apologies for the almost certainly terrible pronunciation, who some of you will know from Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. So that's kind of cool. From the looks of it, it looks like there's a Barrett and a Vincent there as well, but I'm going to be honest with you, I can't quite see, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the clearest image, but that's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. The point is, this looks pretty gosh darned awesome, and they are, of course, going to be in this starter set. Going a bit closer to home, we have actually had the pre-release promo confirmed from Opus 10. It is going to be Titus, and like the pre-release promos we've had lately, it is going to be a full art. Given that Final Fantasy X, well, 10 and 8 are next on my list to play, so I'm a little bit excited about this. It is a 4 CP, 8,000 power. I don't want to say water, but don't be mad at me, I'm colorblind, and when they don't have the symbols on, it gets much more difficult, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't be mad about that. And this is nice. 4 CP for 8,000 power compares incredibly favourably to previous cards. There is a 9,000 power, but it's a 6 cost. And it is a Ford, and it reads, a Category 10 Fords other than Titus you control gain plus 1,000 power. That seems quite nice. When Titus enters the field, you may return one backup you control to its owner's hand. When you do so, choose one forward, return it to its owner's hand. So either a forward you control with a nice ability when you play it, or a forward that your opponent controls that you don't want them to have out. Either way, that seems pretty good to me. Now, in terms of returning a backup to your hand, what most people have said, and I don't think I'm in a position to disagree with this, Shantoto. I mean, it's huge. Everybody plays it. It's great. And when it enters a field, you remove all the forwards from the game. So it's a nice silver bullet to forwards. You can get it back when you play this. And there are other ways to get it back into your hand. It's not like this is the only card that's ever done that, but it's still a nice little option. And there is an S ability here as well. If you're willing to dump a Titus from your hand, you can activate it, and it gains plus 2,000 power until the end of the turn. So you get extra activations, and you end up with a 4 CP 10,000 power character that is boosting the power of your other characters and allowing you to reuse your backups, get fours off the field, or reuse your fours. I mean, this seems like a very strong card to me, ladies and gentlemen. As always, chuck it down in the comment section if you disagree, or if you agree. I'm cool either way. Now, the Wraith versus Knight set was shown for the first time at the FanFest, and they did show what I believe are the rest of the starter cards. Certainly they showed some more starter cards. So these are technically Opus 10 cards, but because they are starter cards, they're only going to be in the set as foil cards. So we have Kain, a 3 CP wind character with 5,000 power. It has got haste, and it doesn't receive any damage except battle damage, which is nice if your opponent's trying to ping you with what I like to call cheeky damage. It has got an S skill here until the end of the turn. It gains 5,000 power and first strike. So at that stage, you're talking about a 3 CP character with 10,000 power and first strike that also has haste and doesn't receive non-battle damage. Yeah. The real question here is whether it's going to be able to force its way into wind decks, given that there are already a whole bunch of 3 CP wind forwards that we play at the moment, like Chilinka and like Aerith. That's going to be the question. We're also getting Lightning, a 4-power lightning character, fairly obviously, a forward with 8,000 power. During this turn, if you attacked with 2 or more forwards you controlled, the cost for playing Lightning onto the field is reduced by 3. So all of a sudden, this becomes a 1 CP 8,000 power character, although not in the early game. You have to have 2 forwards out, and you have to have attacked with them. So although it becomes a very cheap card to play, it's not something you're going to be rocking too early too often. It's also got Crushing Blow, it's an S skill, you tap it, and you choose up to 2 forwards, dull them, and draw a card, so it's nice to be able to dull while drawing a card. We're also getting Ranza, which is a 5 CP lightning backup. When it enters a field, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 forward, 1 backup, and 1 summon among them to your hand, put the rest of the cards into the break zone. Great if you can hit a backup, a forward, and a summon, but you could end up sticking stuff in the break zone that you're hoping to draw into later. There is a risk-reward factor going on here. And then if you pay a couple and tap it, you put it in the break zone, choose a monster, and break it. So it does give you an emergency option against any monsters that might be ruining your day. And then finally, we've got Van, who is a 6 CP wind forward with 8,000 power. When it enters a field, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You play a forward with a cost 3 or less among them onto your field. I love cheating characters in without being able to pay for it. That makes me happy. Then you shuffle the other cards revealed and return them to the bottom of your deck. So there's no chance there of ending up in the break zone cards that you really wish didn't. If you've received 5 points of damage or more, you actually get to use the action twice. That seems better. Doing it twice is generally better than doing it once. And there are a couple of other cards that were revealed that are just from Opus 10, none of this starter deck malarkey. We've had Philo revealed, a 2-cost 5,000 power wind forward. If you control a Job Sky Pirate Ford other than Philo, she gains 1,000 power and haste. 6,000 power and haste on a 2 cost seems fairly good to me. And generally speaking, we don't tend to see many 2 cost Wind Fords popping up in these Wind decks, at least not the ones that are cutting over in the Crystal Cups. So, might be a nice cheap option in the future. We're getting Soldier 3rd Class, a free CP 5,000 power Fire Ford with First Strike, and when it enters a field, you may search for a card named Soldier 3rd Class and add it into your hand. And then presumably when you play that one, you search for your third and final one, and then you put that into your hand. So, yeah. It's not particularly amazing, but in terms of just consistently getting out your Fords, it's going to help you in that regard. We are getting Atlas. And this is really important because we have had confirmation now that this new keyword skill damage actually stacks. So if we have a look at Atlas, it is a free CP 7,000 power Earth Ford. Damage 2, if you've taken 2 or more points of damage, you gain 1,000 power. Damage 5, if you've taken 5 or more points of damage, you gain 2,000 power. And it has now been confirmed that they stack. So that means that if you've taken 5 points of damage, you are a 10,000 power Ford, not a 9,000 power Ford. That could make all of the difference. And I've saved it till the end because look at the artwork on Ash, ladies and gentlemen. This is just wonderful. 4 CP, 8,000 power Water Ford, but look at the artwork. And at the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, just yours, not your opponent's, you select up to 2 of the 4 following actions. Draw a card, then discard 1 from your hand. Nice for cycling your hand, searching for those cards you really want to play sooner rather than later. All the Water Fords you control gain 1,000 power until the end of the turn. Nice for beefing up your Fords. Choose 1 character and activate it. It's quite nice for reusing characters earlier than you'd usually be able to. Choose 1 Ford of cost 4 or less. It loses all its abilities until the end of the turn. Presumably, you'll mostly be going for your opponent's Fords here to stop some of their abilities that might otherwise hamper you on your turn. It's another one of these cards that gives a bunch of nice options for things that you can do. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of new cards revealed and a new starter deck that I, for one, am extremely excited about. But I would like to know how excited you are for all this stuff, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, where we talk about games like Final Fantasy and whatever else takes my fancy. And do consider checking out the Patreon at patreon.com/PTCGradio if you want to support the channel and get some bonus pods, etc. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.